Welcome back, boys. We got Week 13 recap heading your way. Another year of an exciting rivalry week. A lot of hatred in the air. The college football playoff committee going to have a mess on their hands figuring out who they're going to get in, who they're going to leave out, and what hypocrisy they're going to have to sort through. Luckily, we don't have any of those problems because we use a system that is based on results on the field. So we just have teams that have won fair and square making the playoffs now. Without any further ado, we want to get into all the hate-filled action that we saw this last weekend. So we welcome back to the show Nick Langley, owner of the Cleveland Steamers. Nick, how are things going over in Chicago? And welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Travis. It's been a couple weeks, but it was a great Thanksgiving. We were able to watch the Packers take down the Lions. I know that only is good for one person in this league, as it was for the one person at my Thanksgiving, which was me. And then being able to watch the Michigan State Spartan Dogs get our first win since September on Saturday, and a brand new head coach, Pat Fitzgerald. Really excited about that. And then again, just a great slate of football on Sunday to just cap off a great weekend being back home with friends and family. So I'm excited to be back here and recapping everything that happened this week.
All right, and then we also had to bring in what better guest to have on for Rivalry Week than my personal rival. So please also welcome Blake Coates to the show, owner of the Philly Chicos. Blake, how are things going over there?
Going well. Always good to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for joining. Without any further ado, we're not going to hold anyone up any longer. Let's get right into the action. So first game we had here, yours truly, Texas Size 7-4s. Very proud of our boys for continuing to fight, even though the season had gone to the wayside a little bit. We did have Prairie's chance of making the playoffs coming in this one, but we would have needed a lot better performance than this. But still able to get a win over our rivals in Philly. Put a little bit of a sour mouth in their taste as they head in the playoffs. We head in the Mediocrity Bowl with a 127-111 victory, but we are still happy about it nonetheless. Jared Goff, a little bit of a rough day against the Packers in terms of the Lions getting the job done, but still a very good fantasy day. Found the end zone twice for me, leading the way with 25 points. Javonte Williams had himself a solid day, getting the teens, as well as George Pickens, the two of them both getting around 16. Kelsey was able to find the end zone. James Cook was their second leading scorer, sitting at 20. Not really a ton of explosive performances. Everyone just kind of playing solid. Chiefs defense was a little bit of a letdown, which would keep our total score down a little bit, but still happy to get the win. And we move on to the Mediocrity Bowl now, looking to keep playing our best ball and win that last $8 from PC Principal.
For me, on the flip end of this devastating rivalry week, Jalen Hurts with an interception and a fumble lost on the tush push never helps ya. I mean, if you just sort of go down the squad here, it was an unacceptable performance from our standards, but the majority of the team actually played up to sort of what we would expect out of them. Nico Collins puts up almost 100 yards receiving in a very, very interesting game between the Colts and the Texans. And on the flip side of that same game, Jonathan Taylor has another explosive week. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to find the end zone, which sort of lowers what he's capable of doing. But 85 yards on the ground, another 36 in the air is never something to sort of pout at. Quinshon Judkins, same sort of thing. A really good game against the 49ers, 91 yards on the ground, unable to find the end zone. But two almost 18-point performances out of your running backs is a recipe for success, I would think, in most weeks in this league. But as you get to the bottom of the lineup, that is where things sort of fall apart. Michael Wilson, who's been explosive in Marvin Harrison's absence, held to 3 receptions on 7 targets for only 36 yards. And I believe before Marv left the game with his injury again, he only had 3 targets. So it looks like he'll be really dependent on whether or not Marv's in the game, which is something that we have to really focus on coming into the playoffs here. And then the tight end position, Sam Laporta going out has absolutely killed us. We have been on a little bit of a of a slip and slide since he's gone out. You never really know what you're going to get out of Dallas Goedert and that Eagles offense, unfortunately. So it's just something that, we gotta focus on getting better at using, the big guys in the passing game and not just sort of running rookie Madden plays, where they just kind of sit in the middle to be double covered by zone linebackers. And then Dan Campbell is fucking me by these really, really bad fourth down decisions. We know this is who he is. We live and die by it. I knew this when we took Jake Bates, but there's multiple weeks now where not only would it help me in fantasy, but it would also potentially have turned the tide in the game, getting 3 points versus turning the ball over. So we have a little bit of a discussion to have with him coming into this playoff matchup with Nick starting this week. So unfortunately, couldn't get the win in rivalry week. Disappointed as we've sort of owned that ass the last couple of years, but I can tell you that this will be the last time I don't make a rivalry week video because it seems to lead to bad things.
All right. Well, we hope you don't make a video in the future. We are very happy with the results this year. We do appreciate you holding your head high and checking in with the rest of the league and having the balls to show your face after a loss. But we do wish you the best of luck in the playoffs. We do not think this performance will reflect of your potential postseason play.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. Moving on to our second game of the week. We have the Cleveland Steamers with a 151-136 victory over the Can-Pams. Cleveland Steamers improved to 9-4, officially winning the American Division, while Can-Pams fall to 5-8. It would appear that Odell Beckham Jr. indeed has been a spy this entire time. Not a benefit to the Can-Pams as they once thought. So, Nick, tell us how you're able to pull that one off and give us the breakdown of the actual on-field play by the boys this past weekend.
As you mentioned, Odell was working double time as secret agent, double 7-0 diddly. As soon as he joins the Can-Pams, they go on they were in the playoff hunt there for most of the season. Odell kind of infiltrates the building. They go on a 4-game losing streak and get to cap it off with the 5th straight loss heading into rivalry week. See ya in the toilet bowl, Lemp. For us over here, again, pretty solid performances all around. Patrick Mahomes starting it out on Thanksgiving, really solid performance there. Xavier Worthy was able to be the beneficiary of a couple of those big passes, especially that really awesome pass that he threw towards the end of the game as he was falling over for a big, I believe, like 40-something yard completion. Christian McCaffrey was able to just do what Christian McCaffrey does. 17 points, that's pretty much the floor for him right now, as he was able to get a nice performance against that stout Cleveland run defense. Welcome back, Bucky Irving. Haven't had you since week 4, I believe. Really excited to get him back after 7 weeks, as we'll definitely need him for the stretch run here. Ladd was able to put together a touchdown in his game as they were able to rout the Raiders. Trey McBride's still been able to be an absolute force. As he's really been able to blossom with Jacoby Brissett and the new Arizona Cardinals passing offense. Brian Thomas, I'm sorry you play in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is a terrorist. We're just going to leave it at that. And then getting the Cam Dicker, the Chargers defense, both putting together solid performances. So it was a nice cap to the end of the regular season here. But we're really looking at trying to build off of this big win here to end the season, send Lemp down to the toilet bowl, and carry this momentum into the playoffs here.
Yeah, the flip side here for Can-Pams, devastating loss would propel them into the toilet bowl. Only a few people on this team really came to play this week. I mean, 136, not a bad score, but they knew they would be having to throw up a high number going against the Cleveland Steamers. A.J. Brown came to play. He was able to find the end zone twice, scoring 33.7. Definitely hearing the media get a little bit loud about him. Definitely was motivated to play in this one and delivered with a big-time performance. DeAndre Swift behind him, also able to find the end zone, good for 23 points. And then Aubrey able to get double digits as a kicker. Always happy to see that. Rams defense was definitely a little bit of a down spot. A loss to the Panthers that no one saw coming. And they only finished with 7 fantasy points. So definitely disappointing. And then the combination of Lamar and Derrick Henry, they've had a little bit of a tough time getting both of them going at the same time. Lamar, 2 fumbles lost in this one and an interception would be devastating as he would finish with under 7 points. They could have won in most weeks with a performance like this, but this week would just not quite be enough to get it done. Have to wonder how much Odell sabotaging them hurt this team, but they will have plenty of time to think about that in the toilet bowl as they try to avoid falling into the lake come cold January as seasons end here. I guess, Nick, any final thoughts for your rival before we move on to postseason play?
Understood doesn't need to be explained.
Well said. All right, third matchup, we got Gliz Mafia coming in, putting the absolute hammer down on FaZe Kev, punching their ticket home to the playoff with a 149 to 88 point victory. Improving to 7-6, they get in with the tiebreaker over PC Principal. And let's see how they got this one done. Pretty much the whole team came to play in this one. Dak leading the way, 25 points, still had an interception and negative rushing yards somehow, some way. So definitely had some Dak type stats in there, but still a nice, pretty round number to finish it. So they'll be happy with that nonetheless. A-Chain also able to find the end zone, good for 22 points. CeeDee Lamb continues the ball as the Cowboys were able to find a way to beat the Chiefs this last week. 23.7 out of him. They did see Zay Flowers finish with a negative score on Thanksgiving after a lot of people had already gone to bed with their turkey coma. But negative 1.4 out of him after a late game fumble and not much else usage in the rest of the game. But that would be covered up with a bunch of other strong performances. 42.38 points in a shutout out of the Seahawks defense to finish it out. Would be good for a very strong 150-point performance out of this team. They look to build this on this 5-game winning streak they have now and take that momentum in the playoffs where they're looking to capture their franchise's first championship.
Yeah, for Kevin here, this was kind of worst possible outcome in the game when they absolutely needed it. They knew that if they were able to get this win and a sticky mistakes win as well, they would have been the team to make the playoffs most likely if the 6-7 chaos was to ensue. Is there a correlation between Kevin leaving for Germany right when the team was kicking off on Thursday and this team putting up a dud? Maybe, maybe not. But this was definitely not a performance they wanted to see. Josh Allen was able to scrape together 20, but I believe he was at 2 points heading into halftime as the Bills were without 2 tackles, a bunch of receivers out, as they were just happy to get out of Pittsburgh with the win there. Jaylen Warren, again, we thought that there was the possibility that the Steelers were going to be able to run roughshod on this porous run defense in Buffalo. That just did not seem to be the case in terms of their game plan. Travion Henderson got put back into a committee right when we thought he was breaking out. So that was worst case scenario for him as well. Puka Nacua, 12 points, 6 receptions for 72 yards, but it just feels like we expect Puka to be like a walking 20 points each week, as he was definitely a focal point for the Panthers in terms of trying to shut him down as they were able to get the win over the Rams. The big one here is Amon-Ra St. Brown going down on Thanksgiving. I believe he went out in the first quarter, end of the first quarter, was only targeted 1 time, 0 points. We're definitely praying for Amon-Ra, as the Lions are definitely going to need him if they're going to make this final playoff push here. But that really was kind of, I guess, the nail in the coffin to start the week that kind of led towards this performance from Kev. And again, as you kind of go down, no double digits from the tight end, no double digits from the flex play. And the only other double digit here you get is the Falcons defense with the kicker only putting up 1 point. So worst time of the year to put up your worst performance. Kev will now be battling it out in the toilet bowl, but I am pretty confident that this team on their best weeks will be able to escape that. But now it's going to be kind of, do or die here for them.
All right. Moving on to our fourth matchup of the week. We had Fancy Feast with a 150 to 111 victory, improving to 9-4 over the Wallace Pluto. Wallace Pluto falls to 5-8. Fancy Feast didn't need to win this one to clinch their spot. Well, I guess they needed it for the 1 seed. But they would have made the playoffs regardless. But they look to enter the postseason with some momentum here, and they were able to do just that.
Yeah, 150 points here, clinching the 1 seed for Francie Feast. Drake May has been an absolute stud so far this year. I believe he may be the MVP favorite right now after that Rams performance from Stafford. He's been incredible here in year two. Bijan Robinson, another 30-point bomb from him as he was able to put together a really, really impressive day. Etienne a little quiet this week, but again, he's kind of been on a tear pretty recently, so I'm not expecting this to be, a trend for him. Devontae Adams, Mr. Touchdown scorer, puts another two. It's that classic LeBron meme. Hey, here's another two for you. As Devontae Adams seems to be racking them up week in and week out. Rome, not a great performance. Andrews, pretty average. RJ Harvey was able to get another two touchdowns here for Matt, as he's been a nice fill-in after the Dobbins injury, and then another 25 points from the Dolphins defense playing against the Saints this week. So a lot of nice performers here for Matt. And again, he's definitely going to need to be carrying this momentum as he will be facing Gliz Mafia in round one. But a really nice kind of send-off to the regular season, capping off a #1 overall seed here for Francie Feast.
Yeah, the flip side here for Wallace Pluto. It would have taken a lot for them to escape the toilet bowl, but they were not able to do so anyways, as they fall in this one, now sitting at 5-8. This was a team that used to be a mediocrity bowl staple every year. Last year they won the championship. Now they find themselves in the toilet bowl. So a little bit more of a yo-yo these last two seasons. But we're not here to talk about the last two seasons quite yet. Let's give us a breakdown of what happened this week. So Bo Nix, top here, solid day. Still 21 points total. Able to find the end zone once. Did have a turnover. Still a solid day out of him nonetheless. A couple of scores in teens here in the middle from Gibbs, Knight, and Chase would help. Jefferson was a little bit of a down spot. Only 1.4 points out of him on 4 total yards. Brock Bowers continue to be a staple of his team and of the Raiders for that matter. Despite poor performances from the rest of the team, he was able to find the end zone twice. It would be the only points the Raiders would score in this one, as he was good for 22.3. And then a little bit disappointing scores at the bottom here. 3 single digits to round it out, including 9.88 out of the Commanders' defense. Add that all up, would not be quite enough to get the job done in this one. Wallace Pluto now heads into a toilet bowl matchup with Can Pams, looking to avoid jumping in the lake this coming January or see if they're able to do so. All right, and then our fifth and final matchup of the week, we had PC Principal. Definitely always happy for them to get this one done, even if it's against a weaker Sticky Mistakes team. But still, they improved to 7-6 with a 135 to 113 victory, as Sticky Mistakes falls to 3-10. And this was kind of more of what we saw across the league this week. Not a ton of single huge performances to carry a team over the top. More a bunch of solid performances and playing together as a team in order to get the job done. See Mayfield, Brown, and Hall at the top here, all in the high teens. Add all that up, it would make for a competitive score. Dahl in the flex position, able to find the end zone. 125 total yards, good for 25 points out of him. And McPherson, the kicker, I guess if you wanted the one spot that was carrying him, 25 points out of your kicker is always going to be tough for the other side to beat, especially when their kicker gets a fat goose egg. And then a solid performance out of the Buccaneers defense to round it out with 17 of their own. 135 to 113 victory. We know PC Principal is always very happy to take down Sticky Mistakes. This might be the last time these teams play in Rivalry Week. So it was definitely an eventful one. To end on, if that change does end up being made, we know PC Principal. We're happy to be closing this chapter with a W.
For sticky mistakes here, falling down to 3-10. The real big reason in this game, like sticky mistakes, had definitely a chance here. They at the last minute benched Jamison Williams after talking up all this game about JMO going off on Thanksgiving. When we see Adam on Wednesday, ends up benching JMO for Michael Pittman. And that was really the deciding factor in this game. JMO would have given Adam, I believe, 26, 27 more points. And that would have been enough to capture this rivalry week victory for him. So that was definitely the decision that screwed him this week, as there's been a lot of bad decisions from sticky mistakes to put them in this position right now. But that was the nail in the coffin for this week. When we take a look at the rest of the performers, again, Stafford having his worst performance of the year against the Carolina Panthers. Nobody saw that coming, but he was only able to muster 12 points. He turned the ball over 3 times. Chris Rodriguez was able to find the end zone for Adam, which was great, along with David Montgomery from the running back spot to get 2 double-digit points. We've already talked about Michael Pittman. Rashee Rice, coming back from his suspension, has been an absolute heater so far. Again, another 2 touchdowns for him as the highlight here. And then again, nothing really great at the back end here. Harold Fannin, almost 10 points. Smitty, Blake gave a full breakdown of that Eagles game and the offensive woes. Will Reichard, 0 points as the Vikings weren't able to find any points in that game. A decent performance here from the Jags defense, almost 30 points, but again, not enough here. We've kind of said that multiple times for this team so far this year. They fall to 3-10, will be facing FaZe Kev in the toilet bowl. But like they said, all it needs is 2 weeks, and then you're going to be out of there. So Sticky Mistakes is hoping for some sort of bounce back to try to not jump in the lake for the second straight year.
All right. And that is it for us, boys, for this Week 13 recap. If you tune into tomorrow's video, we will have the full postseason breakdown and end-of-season awards for you. So make sure you come back to tune in for that. Nick, any final thoughts on Week 13 before we get out of here?
Again, it was great to see everybody this week. I believe we were able to see almost everybody in the league outside of Cooper not coming back for Thanksgiving this year. But again, it was great to see everybody. And again, happy to have another great rivalry week here, as the hatred was high and it was a great time.
All right. Couldn't have put it any better myself. So thanks again for tuning in, boys. And like we said, tune in tomorrow for the postseason breakdown. Peace out.